Are you ready to be blown away by this artwork? Absolutely gorgeous. The 100 Torii. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming back to the Dice Odyssey. I'm Kaz, and today I'm going to be bringing to you a Kickstarter pre-production preview, The 100 Torii by Pencil First Games. In this game, you are a traveler on a journey going through a gorgeous Japanese garden, and as you go, you're going to be passing through many different kinds of sacred Torii gate. It's a tile-laying game at heart, and what you're trying to match up different kinds of symbols that coincide along the path with other symbols that you've already seen. And basically, you're expanding the garden out, kind of like what you would do in Carcassonne. So if you liked Carcassonne and you were familiar with it, this is going to be somewhat familiar to you in that sense as well. Now, I'm going to show you just a little bit of how it plays, and then I'm going to go ahead and give you my final thoughts of the, including whether or not you get a recommendation on this game. Spoiler alert. Back it. It's good. In the 100 Torii, your objective is earn the most journey points by expanding the garden, walking through as many Torii gates as possible as you move between similar landmarks. Now, the different kinds of tokens you'll collect throughout the game. You'll have landmark tokens. You'll have the large landmark tokens, which are basically 5 points each. And what you'll do to gain these is you'll turn in 5 of the same landmark token, and you'll gain that. The next time that you gain another 5 on top of that, you'll turn it over and flip it to 10. And these will be used as in-game points. You'll also have character tokens and an enclosure token. The first time you use a character in the Get Help phase, you'll gain the character token, and it'll be on the side of 2. If you use it again, you flip that side over to 4, and ultimately, if you use it 3 times, you'll gain the achievement token for that character. You'll also be able to gain enclosure tokens, and they work very similar to the character tokens, but we'll get back to enclosures later on. Other kinds of achievements you can gain, like the All 6 scoring achievement. As soon as the player has at least a 5-point large landmark token of all 6 landmark types, that player gains the highest value piece of this type. The same goes for the 3-10 scoring achievement. As soon as a player has at least 3 10-point landmark tokens in any of the 6 landmark types, that player gains the highest value piece of this type. Each turn, the player can take the following actions in order. The first one is Get Help. The second one is Expand the Garden. The 3 is Claim Achievements. And the 4th is Draw Tiles. In the Get Help phase, you can pay characters to assist you. For example, you have the Vendor. It allows you to discard a tile and draw 2 tiles. You have the Samurai. Place a samurai figure on the table adjacent to a tile, and it'll block tile placement. Now, it stays there until it is moved again. You have the Poet. You can place the Poet figure on a landmark of any kind, and it also stays until it is moved. You can pay the Geisha, play 2 tiles, and you can score the second tile. You can play the Gardener. Place a tile on top of another garden tile. As you can see, there's different cost symbols for each one, ranging from 1 to 3. You can pay them in coins or smaller landmark tokens, or a combination of both, but you cannot use the large landmark tokens. The second action is Expanding the Garden. You can use any orientation to connect paths as you like, as long as it's directly connected to a tile that you're trying to place it next to. Now, your ultimate goal is to try to match landmarks to other landmarks using the shortest path. Every time you're able to match a landmark to another one, you score that landmark token. If you place this tile down with a stone on it, you score on the shortest path to the actual next matching landmark. So it's not a matter of how many tiles, it's just the shortest route. And if you have 2 landmarks on one token, you can choose either one to try to score. Now, many of these tiles are going to have different colored Torii gates. The red Torii gates and the blue Torii gates. Now, if you're able to score on a path that passes through one or more Torii gates, you're going to gain different bonuses for it. The red Torii gates, you're going to get a +1 matching token for each red one you pass through. So if I was trying to score this stone, I would count the amount of red gates that I've got until I matched it up to the next one on that tile. And in this case, you would have 2 in between. So not only do I get 1 landmark token for the match, but I also get 2 more of the exact same token for the 2 red Torii gates. But oh, look, I've also passed through a blue gate on the way. And for each one on the path, I gain another token of my choice that doesn't match the landmark I scored this turn. So I could choose any one of these other ones that are not stone. Now you can do multiples of any of these gates. The sky is truly the limit. Now you may also go ahead and create something called an enclosure. When you place a tile in part of the garden where there are no open ends and at least 2 landmarks inside that enclosed garden, you will earn an enclosure token. And it works very much like the character tokens. Now the third action you take is you claim your achievement awards. You only do this action if you actually earned anything. We've already discussed some of these before. These can be landmark upgrades, character bonuses, etc. The last thing you do on your turn is you draw back up to 2 tiles. Now when the last tile is finally drawn, every player, including the player who drew the last tile, gets 1 more turn. And ultimately play is going to continue turn after turn after turn until finally this happens, and then you add up all of your points at the end of the game. Whoever has the most points wins. Now, there's also a solo variant that's been included in the game. I'm not going to cover it specifically for this video, but for you solo players out there, this is included. Now, let's go ahead and get back to my final thoughts. So, did I like 100 Torii? Oh my gosh. Like, you even have to wonder at this point, right? I've kind of spoiled that at the beginning. Yes, absolutely. I found this to be a very interesting, gorgeous game to get yourself lost in, okay? Let me go into the artwork. Obviously, artwork is subjective, right? But when you have the 2 words and they coincide in this way, Vincent Dutrait, that sounded like 3 words, but Vincent Dutrait, and you put it on a game, I'm instantly interested, okay? He does some of my favorite artwork in board games in general. So automatically, that's drawing me in. I mean, let's just put it this way. If you've ever backed a pencil first game, have they let you down yet in terms of the artwork or even just the production quality? They haven't me yet. And so this is amazing. Love it. It draws you in deeper. Each tile is meticulously, it feels ornate even, you know, it's meticulously drawn out. And just everything just kind of comes alive off the tiles. So laying it out as the garden expands, you know, it's a looker. People are going to walk by your table and go, what the heck is that you're playing? I want in. Now, when it comes to mechanics, I automatically like tile laying games in general. Typically, if a game sucks, I'm gonna say it sucks. To me, this doesn't suck. And great thing is, everybody at the table that played with us thought it didn't suck as well. I'm saying the word suck a lot, but you get my idea. This game is so much fun. There are a lot of interesting decisions to make as you go along. And a lot of that's going to be dependent not just on the tiles you draw, but also the other players at the table. And I personally think that this game is excellent at pretty much any player count. I even played it solo and I liked it. Now, do I prefer more players? Yes, I prefer more than solo, but if you're a solo player, I think you're probably going to have a lot to munch on here. And there's a fine-tuned balance of the strategic and the tactical. Because yes, while you've got tiles in your hand and you're sitting there trying to map out your next move, you're also dependent upon what other people are placing down, and also whether or not they're going to block your path with a samurai. That happened several times in games that we played of it. You're going to have to be watching carefully how the path's going to be built out, whether or not you should just cut your losses if somebody blocks you off and build an enclosure. That was another thing. Going off of that for a second, almost everything in this game gives you points. Almost everything. It's like a point salad. And I like that because it gives you multiple paths to victory. And you can work your way towards these kinds of achievements, or you can just try to build up what you've got over here with these other kinds of achievements. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, there is a ton of symbology on the table once you've grown that path out. But the good thing is it's an organic growth. So once you've started out and you're building your garden, it's going to be easy, right? It's a very simple game to learn. It's going to be very difficult to master. Primarily because you're trying to make sure that you get the longest possible route that you can through as many Torii gates as you can, as many different types of Torii gates. And the one cool thing I really loved about that is that yes, somebody could mess you over by putting another symbol down that matches the one you're wanting to put, and oh my goodness, you had that perfect path mapped out that you wanted to match that other symbol to, and you went through like 5, 6, 7 Torii gates or whatever it is, right? And then somebody put one right down where you wanted it, and it was perfect, and they messed up your plans. That's okay. You can go ahead and purchase the Poet. I loved the character help in this game. Purchase the Poet, cover up that symbol, and that way your path has no longer been blocked. I'll tell you this. If this game did not have those character abilities, I would not have had as much fun with it as I did. And because there's so many ways that people can block you off or screw up the plans you want to make, to where you actually then have to start kind of managing your resources a little bit better. This really has a bit of resource management in a sense too, and I like that. I love the fact that there's so many different ways to get where you want to get. And I'll tell you this, one of the games I had recently, I was able to come back from behind with like another 10 or 12, I forget exactly the amount of points. It's like 10 or 12 point swing where everything was lining up perfectly, and because I was able to resource manage and spend some of the resources I needed for in-game points, keep that in mind, to get those achievements and things, I was able to spend them and pay for a poet to lay it down, and this is what I was talking about earlier, lay it down on a symbol that was keeping me from going through so many Torii gates, right, because it's always the shortest path. And I was able to get like, oh goodness, 5 or 6 Torii gates, blue and red, and I was able to get those achievements that I needed anyway. It's like it gives you that hope of winning that you didn't think you were gonna have. And I like that for that reason. This game made me so excited to wanna sit down and play it again. Now again, once the garden has grown out to close to its fullest extent, there is a lot of symbology to keep up with on the table. And if you have AP prone players who are trying to map out their paths and things, that could come up where they're taking a longer turn necessarily. Just keep that in mind ultimately, but this game is absolutely fantastic. I personally would love to have this game for my collection. If you saw anything here that looked great to you, I would highly recommend you go check it out. It's definitely, in my opinion, worth backing, and I can't say enough good things about it. Thank you so much for watching the Dice Odyssey videos, and hey, what are your favorite tile laying games? Have you heard of the 100 Torii? Anyway, thank you again. You have a blessed day, and game away. This video is brought to you by Fallen Dominion Studios. Check out their website at fallendominionstudios.com.